of course, because you just do that.
Yeah.
But the game has like this very unique atmosphere that I just really enjoy. Like every single day that passes, I hope like for another sort of big dungeon crawler game in the style of Kingsfield 4 from FromSoft or something like that.
Yeah, that would be amazing from FromSoft. I know the indie scene for those types of games are big. Like there was a Bug Night, I think, that came out recently. That was
Hollow Knight, Silksong. Yes, it's amazing. My buddy Artie is playing it all the time.
Oh,
what is that?
Hey, everyone!
What is that?
I didn't see you walk in there. We were just hanging out, talking about crawling deep.
We were doing nothing suspicious whatsoever. Do not worry about it.
Oh. Well, if you're tuning into the stream, you already know we're here to talk about crawling deep. But
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, Laurin, why don't we introduce ourselves?
Well, you just did that for me. So, Taylor, why don't we introduce ourselves? But hello, everybody. I am Laurin David Weng. I am the creator of Soulblight, a Shadowdark setting, and all its adjacent bullcrap that I put out into the world. I am a designer and writer on Crawling Deep, which was led by this magnificent man right underneath me in this live stream. Taylor, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm guilty. Hey, yes, thank you, Laurin. Hey, everybody. I'm Taylor. Like Laurin said, I was lead designer on this, but I couldn't have done it without the brilliant writing of the man you see above me. So thanks to him. Yeah, cool. So if anyone has questions, feel free to throw them into the chat. But we have a few things that we plan to talk about. Cool. So, Laurin, Shadowdark. It's a game, you know. It's a game we both love.
I've faintly heard of it. Yes, yeah. I'm mildly acquainted, I believe.
Right. Yeah. I look meaningfully at your itch.io page, which is positively filled with Shadowdark adventures and supplements.
Yeah.
How did you get interested in Shadowdark?
It's a story I like to tell every single time someone asks me, so I will do it again. I quite literally just stumbled upon it. I was subscribed to Kelsey's newsletter, I believe, like sometime during COVID, because I tried out like one of her early adventures, and there was a newsletter page, and I thought, you know what, yeah, why not? Let's see what if she puts out more adventures, stuff like that. Who knows? One of those days, it's in the midst of the pandemic, I get an email that says, "Hey, Arcane Library now has a Discord server, which is invite only. You have to write me an email so I can send you the code and everything else." It was very, very arcane back in the day. Naturally. So I did that. I put on my most extravagant, wizardly writing voice, sent an email, got reply, stumbled in there, and, you know, I see this little thing there that says like, Shadowdark RPG. I've never heard of it. Let's look into it. And I'll read the beta rules. Okay. This is like at the very beginning of like the beta itself. I look into it. You know what? I like what I'm seeing. But then I see the illustration of a 10-eyed oracle. And something just clicked inside of my head. Something was hardwired that day. And I just, out of the blue, my second ever message, I think, in that entire Discord to this day was, "Yeah, I'm going to write a setting for this. Cool? Cool." And then I did. And I didn't stop.
I was going to say, and it's been like that ever since.
Yeah, basically. I stumbled into it, bit inside of it, and I just didn't let go, and nobody can so far pull me out of it. You were actually, I think, also there around the same time as I was. Or were you a little bit earlier than I think?
Yeah, I think it was around the same time. I don't know. Time is a misty hallway from which I have no recollection. But Yeah, I much like you got an email. Like I previously played Kelsey's adventures. I think specifically was the Secrets of Skyhorn Lighthouse.
Hmm.
And then she sent out an email. She sent out an email for her 5. She had like a 5e hack that was basically like Shadowdark Light. Like roll to cast, that sort of thing. And and then when I several months later, I was like, oh, I should read those rules again for that 5e hack. So I emailed Kelsey. I asked for them, and she's like, hey, I have this server Shadowdark. Maybe you're interested. So yeah, that's when I joined. And obviously the rules are sweet. They are dungeon crawling distilled down into its most perfect form, much like Cell.
You're either perfect or you're not Shadowdark.
Yeah, exactly. And that was like when it was still, that was like pre-Kickstarter. And then I was like, man, I should write an adventure for this system. So I did, which was Nightmare at Castle Goldgloom, which I have since rewritten 3 times.
It happens.
Yeah, so we're due for another rewrite of Castle Goldgloom soon. So that's the scoop with me. I see Lauren's frozen, but I see he's come back. Excellent.
We're having issues with the stream.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Hear me okay? I'll stop my screen. I'll stop my screen
I'm
share.
back.
Okay, great. Hey. Can you
It was bound to happen, I knew it. Connectivity just simply broke away in the last 3 minutes. So I'm just going to be bouncing back and forward on the live stream basically now.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, that's okay. Live streams, everybody. What's up?
What's up? You now get the much crisper resolution of my phone camera somehow.
Yeah. Well, I can hear you. We can see you, so that's a win.
Excellent.
Hey, Jordan. I see Jordan just commented. What are you guys most excited for people to see in Crawling Deep? What a good question. Wow. It's like we planted them, but we didn't. Jordan, just a stand-up guy. Check out, Jordan just released something. Citadel.
Yeah.
Shoot, I don't remember the name now. It's embarrassing.
Shadow of the Cursed Cathedral.
Right. Shadow of the Cursed Citadel. Very, very good adventure. Everybody should go read it.
I actually bought it yesterday and read through it. It's really, really nice. It's really fun. It's lovingly illustrated by Jeremy. So check it out, guys.
Yeah. So yeah.
But yeah.
Crawling Deep.
What are we excited for in Crawling Deep?
Lauren, do you want to go first? What are you most excited about in Crawling Deep?
I believe it kind of like overlaps also with the stuff that I worked on in Crawling Deep, which were the domain rules, which I'm genuinely excited for, and we're busted to figure out. I'll be honest. like that one was like a genuine like a couple of weeks that we twisted and turned on that one.
Yeah, domains were a good challenge because of course Shadowdark's about dungeon crawling and adventuring. So the question was like, how do you make domain rules that still feel like they're Shadowdark? Because you don't want to make domain rules where you're like paying for every wall and you have to do like your monthly taxes on your domain.
And most importantly, we also wanted to make certain that the domain rules themselves only build upon what was already in the Shadowdark core rulebook, after all. So that was very important. We didn't want to replace anything in there. We didn't want to like meddle and say like, oh, this is also what you do if you have the cursed scroll, hex scrolling rules, which were out by the time, but we can't use because it's not part of third-party license after all. So The trickery bit was also the idea of you have a normal hex crawling rules essentially, and you apply the domain rules upon those, and that was fun to figure out.
Yeah,
because I believe also another obstacle with usual domain rulings as a whole are always how do you expand them? Like, how do you expand the domain itself? How do you expand your fortress? And also, how do you make certain that it's not just one player who has the fun while doing so, but that everybody benefits from it in some shape or form, both mechanically and fluff-wise?
yeah, that's a great point. You don't want one person to be the domain lord and everyone else just has to sort themselves out for a few minutes while you and the game master talk about your domain. Yeah, so I think in general we imagine that you'd probably be claiming a domain, or there's three options that the book outlines. You're claiming a domain, you're getting one bequeathed to you because of your because of the adventures that you've gone on,
because of your noble spirit, because of your panache, because of your nepotism.
Exactly, yeah, because the practicality. And then the third option is building one, which is really expensive and takes a long time. We didn't. The typical game of Shadowdark probably takes place over a month of game time.
Yeah.
So yeah, trying to imagine building a castle or whatever in that amount of time is a bit silly. But
because the main play itself is like very, very long form. Like when you go into the level of like domain building, you are here for a long time and no longer just for a short time. So that was also a challenge to sort of meet. When it comes to that, especially because it also usually only happens at the higher levels, like level 5 to 10. That's usually the place where you get enough daily on the money in your adventures and dungeon crawls that you can actually do this sort of stuff and still have money left over. So
yeah, totally. So what we ended up deciding is that domains, so you're either getting bequeathed them, you're claiming them, you're claiming some ruins, or maybe you're building them. But the main thing is that there's always a master and there's always there's lieutenants. So one player is the master of the domain. I felt like we couldn't get around this because I listened to Matt Colville talk about his domain rules, and he was basically talking about like what he regretted about doing it. And in MCDM's domains, everybody shared the keep, but it turns out that's not really the fantasy. The thing that people usually want is like, this is my castle or this is my wizard's tower. So we ended up on this concept of masters and lieutenants. So somebody is the keep boss, but all the other players are lieutenants. So they also have a stake in the keep.
To figure out from there on was essentially using every single class gets their own type of domain. For example, like you have a fighter's fortress, a wizard's tower, a priest's temple, a rogue's hideout. And depending on each domain type, there are not only more different sort of abilities that your lieutenants and yet your master, the master, for example, gets like different perks and such, but there are also different ways to actually level up your domain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was also a fun thing to figure out how to do that, essentially.
Yeah. So to answer Jordan's question, he asked if domains are class specific. Somewhat. I mean, we definitely imagined that like the fighter would be the one who was interested in having like a military castle. There's no reason that like the wizard can be the master of the War Master's castle or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one thing is to look at is that all of the domains are like having a party level. I would like a party class, I would say. Like when you get a War Master's Castle, or you pick it, your domain now has XP and you're going to level up, like Laurin was mentioning. There are XP requirements for leveling up your domain, and you're acquiring XP by securing hexes to make it part of your domain.
In this case, it also once again ties into the whole exploration factor that usual hex crawling also has. In this case, the exploration of a map itself adds to the experience and to the width and the breadth of your domain itself. And claiming a hex is not just a thing like, okay, you go through it once. No, you actually have to explore it. You have to find the points of interest. Are there monsters in there? Okay, clean them out. Make that hex secure. And then it gets to be part of your domain.
Yeah. The key factor being like, to claim a hex, we have to be able to exert power over it. So if it's full of monsters or something, then you basically have no sway there. And if it contains a village of goblins who hate you also have to deal with that, whether it's, driving them from your lands or making peace with them or something.
Mm-hmm. The only part where we actually had to play with that, and where it got really tricky, was with the pirate ship.
The pirate ship. Someone just asked about Gonzo. Blake just asked about Gonzo. Well, Blake, I mean, I don't know if this counts, but we thought the pirate ship idea was a really compelling fantasy. People like pirate campaigns. They like sailing, they like owning a boat, sailing around.
The freedom and the sails, the taste of brine upon thine lips, the wind in thine hairs. Now give me a better horizon. It's fun. But it was really tricky to figure out because, well, as a pirate ship, you don't exactly have a secure domain.
Right.
So,
yeah, exactly.
We had to play around with that.
Yeah, you're it's not like a castle that's like, on that hill. You're sailing around. So the question was, how could we still make the domain system apply to a pirate ship? And what we came up with was basically exploration. The idea that the more new places that your pirate ship goes, the more XP you're going to gain.
Yep.
Sail around, find some stuff, and loot people.
Get some booty.
And like we mentioned, domains are like a party class. So if we have the flagship and we're leveling up, there's talents there's a talent table that we're going to roll on when we level up the ship. Which, is all of the special abilities that you see listed here, like the crow's nest, critical hit range goes up, or
and that was another thing to sort of implement, essentially, to have like the talents be like the actual like room expansions of the domain itself, because that was also very important to us in that sense.
Yes, yeah, the fact that your since your domain is like a physical place, it makes sense that like the level ups that you're getting are physical things like rooms or like a cool figurehead on your ship. Yeah. So that's the kit and caboodle on domains. Whew. So yeah,
Lord, domain, what is your favorite parts to work on the book itself, actually?
Good question. I was thinking about this before the stream. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, basically the only time that something got into this book is if you or I had a good idea.
Yeah.
So,
and since it's 500 pages long, we had a lot of them.
Yeah, at least what I think is a good idea. You can see the table of contents here. Is it indulgent if I just talk about several? Okay, so
sure.
The the classes were an interesting challenge because the core 4 classes in Shadowdark are basically like all the archetypes, all the classical archetypes. So the question was like, what else is there to do? So when we were adding classes, we really wanted classes that didn't play like any of the core 4. Like they had to have a specific like archetype and also like feel at the table. I want to give maybe the barbarian's a pretty simple example. Oop, okay. That's not linked right. We'll fix that. But anyway, the barbarian. You know, is this just the fighter but like angrier? Not quite. The main idea with the barbarian is that it feels like you're driving a runaway car. When you can rage, of course, as a barbarian, and that's going to give you some buffs. It lasts temporarily, and you have to succeed a check to be able to rage again during the same breath cycle. So you can't rage unlimitedly. There's kind of there's a risk reward factor. The other thing that I felt was really important was the idea of the berserker who fights even though they're like mortally wounded, basically. So Unbreakable has that when you get to 0 HP, you roll your death timer, but you don't fall unconscious. So you just keep fighting. And then if you get hit more, then maybe you're going to get knocked unconscious. But otherwise, as long as you still have death timer, you can keep fighting.
And that is also always like a very difficult thing to do with like Shadowdark, is adding classes, because the core 5, honestly, they do kind of cover basically like every single spot you would technically ever need. Like even because scroll classes, for example, are just fun additions with flavor, essentially, for that particular hex scroll setting, for example.
Yeah.
So when we designed the classes here, it was important to us to they couldn't overlap with any of core 4. They had to find their own niche somehow, and they had to be fun to play. And that was also important to us.
That is also, yeah, that is also important. It's gonna be fun. So Blake asked about the tourist, because yes, that is kind of a weirder idea. So this is directly taken from Terry Pratchett. The tourist is a goofy idea. You're literally like a guy on vacation. So what's going on? What the hell is going on here, you may ask yourself. Basically, like, I wanted a class that had some social abilities and like very like unique utility. So the 3 main components of the tourist is your fast talking ability to temporarily shift the attitude of random encounters upwards or downwards, actually, as you prefer. But this is only temporary, so you know everyone gets annoyed with tourists after a while. So eventually their mood will shift. I wanted to give them, I didn't want them to just sit on their hands during fights. So I did give them like a pseudo sneak attack, but it doesn't require you to be hidden. It just requires you to surprise somebody. So, you know, no one expects to get hit in the face with a valise during a conversation. Right. Yeah. And speaking of luggage, the other really important piece of the tourist is their tourist gear. Tourists start with a piece of gear, and they can get more as they level up as a talent. And there's essentially 1 piece of tourist gear for every stat. and they just all have utility functionality. So the credit card lets you recharge used magic items and player abilities. You know, charge credit card. This is the shit I
Not
live.
all that we do here in Copenhagen is dark and tenebrous and ominous. Sometimes it's also just goofy shit like this.
Exactly. And everyone has that player who's like, they're always making like, you know, Fate Tickle Bottom or whatever. You know, they're gonna make a goofy character anyway, so you might as well just let them play a goofy class. Yeah,
Exactly.
the other thing I love, like another example of gear that I love, is the Polaroid, which is literally just taking a flash photo of monsters and blinding them. That one's for the folks back home. Yeah. So yeah, I would say, yeah, probably classes. I would say was my favorite thing, one of my favorite things, because it is so hard to make a class that doesn't step on the toes of the bases.
Yeah. I can also honestly say one of my other favorite things to do in this book itself was the thing that is always my favorite thing to do in anything I am assigned to write is to create monsters, because Taylor allows me to go ham without any restraints. So if you pick up Crawling Deep and you open up a bestiary, there's a 50% chance that the monster you choose to kill the party with has been designed by me, so they can curse me instead of cursing you as GM. So I become the scapegoat, but
yeah, be a
no
surrogate. Be a surrogate. And we tried to create an interesting variety. You know, basically, if you or I had an idea, it went in.
It went in there.
I really like the Thanian beasts.
Those were all, I write them all from various beasts of Greek mythology, especially some obscure ones like Campe, for example, who is not really represented that often. And what we always try to do also with all the monsters is, okay, they need to have some sort of connectivity to them. Like in Shadowdark Core, for example, it's after all implied that there is this Fanian society of ancient sorcerers who create the beasts. So we said, yeah, okay, these are all the dungeon beasts that the Fanian sorcerers make with fleshcraft. Have fun.
Yeah, and and you get all of you get some of the classical, you know, Greek mythology monsters that aren't covered in core, and you get more variety. So I feel like, you know, because the Thanians are mentioned, like you said, in Shadowdark Core several times. So if you want to build Athenian ruins, I feel like this gives you a lot more to work with.
Yeah. Another really fun sect events to work on were the Orderlings, honestly.
Of course.
Because that was just... Ooh.
Of course. And Shadowdark Core doesn't have this equivalent. Would you say that these are semi-based off of Dungeons and Dragons Mordrons?
Certainly, in a way, but they've also just this general the clock punk aesthetic in general, and sort of the idea of okay, we need to have something that is a absolutely organized militaristic force, which naturally for that the Romans lend itself to that very nice. So you have these the weird clock punk Romans from the outer stars or from the outer planes just roaming around, and that was just really fun to sort of both make them really play into this theme of okay, it's highly ordered, so all of their stats, for example, they're all even, all the levels are even all the hit points, I think we try to make all of them even. And to have this hierarchy sort of a play into how you can a more powerful orderlings, for example, support lesser orderlings in some shape or form. They have to sort of build up from one another, have an actual army hierarchy, and that's something I always find very fun to work with monsters.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super fun. It also gives interesting places for, like, once the players are aware of how the Orderlings work, it actually gives them like interesting ways to push on them in conflict. Because
Yeah.
if the Centurio is gone, then all the other Orderlings in the area lose damage. And I believe there's an Orderling who just can't do anything if he doesn't have lesser Orderlings with him.
Yes. There are some Orderlings who need the hierarchy to function. Without it, they just fall apart.
Yeah.
Anxiety.
The chaos. Yeah, the legate needs one Orderling of a lesser level nearby to command, otherwise he can't do anything.
He needs someone to yell at. Get things done for him.
Don't we all?
Just like in the regular army.
I think for the monsters, for me, I really enjoyed the dungeon denizens. So, dwellers, dungeon dwellers. I came up playing a lot of old RPGs at the time when I was a kid. I didn't realize these games were like kind of like based on D&D, but I had played several of these games, and they always had these weird monsters in them, like the floating eye, that just permanently paralyzes you if you look at it. It's horrible. The other one.
They've played this campaign before, but not here.
Yeah, this seems familiar. And for anybody who's ever played NetHack, you may remember nymphs in NetHack steal your shit, which is honestly like one of the worst things that can happen to you. So I feel like I wanted to put that in Shadowdark. So we have the dungeon nymphs, which charm people. They don't tend to just fight straight up. And also, once they have you charmed, they want to steal things from you, and then, once they've had their fill, they flee.
In Detroit.
Yeah, and honestly, I can't think of anything that is going to motivate players more than when a dungeon nymph jacks some treasure or their last torch and runs off.
I mean, imagine you just came back from a dungeon, you have a cart full of treasure behind, you're just about to go into the tavern, and then one of these fuckers just takes it away from you.
It ain't right.
Something I would do, but it's kind of like people angry.
Yeah, and we came up with a variety of oozes. Yeah. Oh, and the other one that I really enjoyed was dungeon tests. So, I think there's a tendency to think of dungeons as sterile environments, or maybe even just not really like imagine them that complexly. But like any real hole in the ground, there's a bunch of like worms and bugs and stuff that are hanging out down there.
Naturally, the system of rust below the brickwork. So yeah, please continue.
Exactly. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I came up with all of these or not. I think maybe just one night after finding an earwig like in my bed, I was like, you know what, I need to get some of these.
This kind of actually reminds me of your example of like thinking that dungeons are usually thought of like as sterile or something. I actually have to think back on old movie Labyrinth. Remember the denizens of the labyrinth itself, which were like just behind the brickwork essentially, hiding in there. Kind of imagine like that.
Yeah, exactly. So the main idea behind dungeon tests is that they're not something that you fight, but they're problems that you're going to have to deal with. Like the murkworms, they hang out in stagnant water. So if you happen to wade through a bunch of stagnant water. You might get a murkworms that attach to you, and they're sticky. I don't know if you ever had a leech on you, but they're decently hard to get. Yeah, it's unpleasant. They bite right into you. So yeah, the dungeon pests they don't actively attack you, but they do make your life harder, like destroying gear or alerting other monsters that you're nearby, like the carrion crickets, or giving you a headache, like these yellow lights.
Now that I think of it, I might have invented the carrion crickets. That sounds familiar. I think that was one of mine.
Yeah,
because I do think that these were from you.
Yeah. I see Blake made a comment about the floating eye permanently paralyzing you. Yes. Yeah, that sucks, man. But you know, that's the horror of the deep earth, I think, is having to deal with things where it's gonna fuck you up, for lack of a better word. You know, and there's a little bit of counterplay, because like the typical thing, you have to look at the floating eye. So you know there are the players have counterplay options, but you're right, they
like could for the Medusa. Gotta have a hand mirror at the ready or something.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Well, was there, I'm trying to think what else we could talk about, Laurin?
We talked a little about monsters right now. Creating new items was also just, once again, it's kind of bread and butter at this point. Magical items in Shadowdark, after all, they're not meant to be balanced, really. If anything, really, nothing in Shadowdark is really meant to be balanced. That's a thing that has been part of, I think, almost like every single game, and almost every single dungeon I've ever run is also just the heroes on your PCs are not going to meet even odds. They're not going to go into this with like fair estimation of like monsters are not going to be fair to them. But still, in the same way, the magic items that you'll find are always going to be powerful. They're going to be useful, even if you yourself have usually like not quite a immediate use of them. They're going to be useful no matter what you do. And so it was very fun, for example, for us to just sort of play with both thematic magic items and just general ones, and just make them as weird as we could get away with, while still keeping within the limitations of the Shadowdark system itself.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Remember, Shadowdark is rules light, but that is still a limited system that we have to work with, and we can't just break over our knees, even though we sometimes want to.
Yeah, there's the playground is only so big, as they say. So I'm looking at the blighted vault right now, which is I think essentially all items that you created, Laurin.
These are all items I created with big wink wink nudge nudge to that thing that I do when I don't do things with Taylor here.
Yeah, Soulblight mentioned. The lore for this section is interesting, because I don't think this is any Soulblight lore that we've heard before.
No, this is none of these items. All of these items are based on entities within the Soulblight setting itself, and technically speaking, all that lore applies. But you only find that in this book. None of this is going into any of my other books.
Yeah, exclusive content here, folks. Yeah, so I love this blighted protoplasm from the blighted section. When it's poured on a creature, it permanently transforms it to another random creature of the same level with 3 mutations.
Yeah,
this is a ton of fun, man. Like, something
that one was actually also inspired by Bionicle. I'm not even joking.
Well, inspiration comes from all over the place, but I'm fascinated.
Energized for the Dalmas. Real Bionicle fans will recognize.
Yeah, shout out to the real Bionicle fans. So yeah, like this has tons of applications. Like, you're in an emergency situation, you just smash this on your head and hope that you turn into something useful.
Mhm.
Or you throw it at a target that you really
Yeah.
don't want to deal with and hope that the what comes out is not as bad.
It's going to be bad because, free mutations are still free mutations. But hey, maybe that giant red dragon will turn into, I don't know, just a very pissed off elephant or something. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever is equivalent level.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jordan just said bionicle setting when. That's coming.
I mean, Lego. If you want me to write a setting with Shadowdark, I mean, we can certainly hash something out. But until then, I'm afraid my hands are tied. I can't do stuff then.
Yeah, balls in Lego's court, I think. Yeah, so tons of fun stuff. The Lash of 8 deaths. I love this. So +2 whip. Weapon damage becomes D8 against lawful and neutral creatures. 3 times a day, heal HP equal damage dealt with that weapon. Classic vampiric weapon.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta go with classics, and sometimes you gotta go just random. Sometimes you really just gotta go random.
Like the Sable Bible. Any torch you're carrying lasts twice as long, but you take ×2 damage in total darkness. I love that.
Yeah, they're like cursed items are also just fun to do, and with that, I just really have to commend. I think it was you who, after all, who like single-handedly you filled out like these mutation tables and the curse tables and everything else. And I could just got to say hats off to that. Like that took a while. I know it was at least a month or so that you worked on this alone, like just on the tables.
Yes, yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. Yeah, we came up with a list of mutations for the book. It's a D1000 table, but I actually think there's 500 entries. And I'll be honest, what I did was I sat here with a copy of the 4th edition monster manual, and I was like, what cool abilities exist in this game that like could exist in Shadowdark in some form? And yeah, and then 40 hours later, we get this table. Cool. Okay, we got a question. Sometimes we have comfort zones in making stuff. Did you guys discover something new outside that zone that you found surprisingly fun to design? So was there anything, Laurin, that you created that you felt like was outside your comfort zone?
I think. Honestly, I'd say the domain rules kind of fell into that, but kind of because I'm like in my own home games, I've already like made like plenty of like domain rules and everything else and such a thing. But like working within the limitations of Shadowdark itself, also like knowing like tons of people have already tried to do this. Um, and everyone has like their own preferences for it. And I just wanted to figure out, okay, so how can I make every single mechanical bit in the core rules count for this? And that was just like a lot of back and forth, and it was really, really just delving into how the mechanics work and everything else. That was not really out of my comfort zone, but it was still like a very big thing to do, essentially. I don't think you can really push me out of my comfort zone when it comes to designing for Shadowdark, because I even stopped disliking making maps so much these past few years. So I don't know. This game is doing things to me.
I'm changing.
It's changing. I don't like it.
Yeah,
I enjoy the post-apocalyptic maps now.
Yeah, you famously not liking to do maps at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, the domain rules were tough. Yeah, because it was essentially adding new subsystems to the game.
Yeah.
So that one was hard. For me, pushing myself outside my comfort zone, I did feel like the skirmish rules were something. Hirelings and skirmishes were something that like I don't personally play with like in my own games. we did test this at my table
Quite extensively.
because I felt like I had to, but yeah, in general, like I don't really play with hirelings. Mostly from bad experiences in my childhood where I would play with people who would be like, yeah, we're hiring 20 people and like we'll stand at the entrance of the dungeon. And then like, him and the GM have a conversation about what his hirelings are doing. um, so yeah, hirelings was a bit of a push for me, but I felt like I came up with something that was actually, Lauren, you and I we collaborated on this. I feel like we talked about like different ways to do this.
I also remember because I've already made like hireling rules in the past as well, and I thought, okay, this needs to be something different. This needs to be entirely different from what I made like in Blades, Guts, and Gold, for example.
That's true. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we tried to come up with something that felt like it would fit into Shadowdark. And I'm pretty happy where it landed. The key idea for hirelings is that they suck. They suck. They're terrible. Why would the only people who go into dungeons and fight like 7-headed hydras are idiots or people with a death wish.
Idiot madman.
Exactly. So the people that you're hiring are also they're doomed and broken people is how I thought about it, and I literally gave them those abilities. All hirelings fail checks, and when someone goes down, you're hireling like this is basically like this is kind of like codifying the morale rules, but they run. They run when someone goes down.
Yeah.
And the main things that we wanted to avoid was the players doing what I just described, where they have 20 hirelings and they're like, okay, walk down this hallway, guys. And they trigger all the traps and, they lose some, but we're okay. So that we continue on. Like, I don't think that's
the meat continues.
Yeah, like that sucks. I think that sucks. So hirelings, they come in like a limited amount of flavors. And it always outlines what they're willing to do and what they're not willing to do.
Personally, I do quite enjoy like hirelings as a concept very often in like games and in video games and tabletop RPG. But yeah, the utilization of them is very, very difficult to do, and especially when you have like people as you just described who then the meat carnival forward, and that's going to take care of everything else, and it's just
we'll just hang out and clean up afterwards.
It's not fun, guys. I mean, great administration of human lives, but still, it's not fun.
So yeah, they come in a few varieties: common, uncommon, rare, torchbearer, and they only do their jobs. They don't do other things. So torchbearers, they can carry a few things. They'll hold the torch. You need to feed them, and they're not good for much else.
You need to feed them. You need to walk them.
Yeah, exactly. Keep your torchbearers fed and walked. One of the key tech I felt like was if you're hiring like combat hirelings, this should be a rare idea, because most people don't want to risk their lives fighting monsters, or they would be an adventurer and they wouldn't be a hireling for you. But the uncommon hireling is a guy with a crossbow, and he doesn't hit unless the person who hired him hits. So this was an idea that we caught upon because we didn't want to add extra attack rolls to combats. It just slows everything down, and suddenly like I'm getting 3 or 4 turns and everyone else at the table's getting 1 turn. So they're just lurking at the back and they're waiting for an opening. Like they see you like get in and hit the monster, they're going to take a shot too. Likewise, there's a more rare hireling that actually gets into melee, but he's only like backup. he hits when you hit. Yeah, cool. All right, that was a lot of blah blah.
Yeah, we do yap a lot, as can be expected when you write a book that is 500 pages long, and we just had to decide at some point, okay, we gotta stop.
Yes,
We
yeah.
gotta stop.
500 when we got to 500 pages, that's when I was like, okay, we should probably publish this at some point.
Yeah. Because I know this is like a trend for almost like any project that we both like work together. I remember like Rad World and what was the other one called? Was it called Plague?
The Plague, yeah.
The Plague, yeah. For the Plague, I only like wrote the lore itself after all, and then for Rad World, which was like our first really combined, conjoined setting to write.
Yeah.
Oh god, we also had like at some point, listen, we got to stop. This is getting too much.
Once you get rolling,
I'm actually very happy that we didn't have like a setting also involved with Crawling Deep, because you just know I would have written another 200 pages onto that sucker.
Yeah, exactly. Once you get rolling on monsters and magic items, it's as long as they're yeah, exactly. As long as there's inspiration, they keep coming. Yeah, cool. So we have about 9 minutes left. So we'll wrap up. Okay, Blake asked, is there any Easter eggs or inside jokes hidden in the book? Almost definitely.
I'm pretty sure there are. I know there are a lot of puns. We made a lot of puns in this book.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we made something about hammers. I'm fairly certain we did.
Yeah.
Even though that joke is technically now dead. But true hammers never die.
That's true.
So there's that.
Yeah, that's true. I can't think of anything. I think we finished writing this maybe 2 or 3 months ago.
Yes, sounds about right.
Yeah. So
I know we did a lot of like shout outs to our other collaborative like stuff in there. We had like iTunes and monsters, so like little shout outs to like Soblight and to Rat World and to some of the other stuff we both did.
Yeah.
So that's in there. If you read our stuff beforehand, you will likely recognize it. If it's three-eyed, horned, primordial, and has some, I don't know, some adjective in its name, that's Lawrence. You know it's Lawrence.
Yes. Yeah.
Good on you, him.
And if it's extremely wacky or weird, then I probably did it.
Yeah.
Okay, Jordan, goal ideas, audiobook version with Laurin reading. So Laurin just reads you the whole book.
I just read you the entirety of Crawling Deep now in stores. I read it with my sinuous voice, and hopefully this way you shall retain the knowledge of the rules, the expansions, the classes, the domain rules.
Yeah, you'll retain them that way. Laurin, can we get?
We could have made it a stretch goal, but neither of us know any audio companies. I'm afraid.
That's right. Yeah. Well, there's still time, maybe. Laurin, can we get a reading of these tier 6 spells? Like just the titles.
Yes, because I'm on my phone. I'm unfortunately quite limited in what I can actually read out right now.
Okay.
Would you actually be able to? So kind of to maybe hold on.
Okay.
Put them, because we have our little chat here essentially.
Yeah. No, I can. So actually, and I just detected a Easter egg reference. So tier 6 spells, better than Wish. Won't go into too much detail right now. By the book, you'll find out. But they exist, and one of the spells is Castigate the Enemies of the Godhead, which of course is from Lancer. This is a Lancer reference.
Naturally. Actually, hold up. I can still access it on my neat little computer here, which has not yet died. Let me find the tier 6 spells. Let me find them.
Okay. All right.
Tier 6.
I'll look at the chat. Blake, appreciate that. And Bull, hey Bull, what's up? Good idea on the retainers hitting when you hit. Yeah, I felt like that was good tech.
I found them.
Excellent.
Apotheosis of eidetic reduction. For one moonless night, you paint into your skin the name of something. This can be a person, place, idea, or concept. The knowledge of that thing is erased from the world and concentrated inside your being, so that only you hold its width and depth in your mind. When you are killed, the knowledge of the thing is returned to the world.
So good. I got chills.
Mm.
All right, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So 5 minutes left. We're pretty well at the end. Any parting thoughts? Any parting questions from anybody?
Parting thoughts from me, not yet. Parting questions from the audience.
Well,
Oh god, it's a rainstorm.
no. I know you're
Yeah, no, it's
you're
happening.
sitting outside, Lauren.
I'm sitting outside and it's about to rain. Quite
Okay.
heavily, actually. But it's wonderful. It's ambiance.
Excellent. Well, we have the Kickstarter still live. Folks in here honestly probably are all backers. That's how you heard about it. Or you're in the Shadowdark Discord. But if you are still interested in backing y'all, the Kickstarter's still running. 17 days to go. And honestly, we're doing way better than I ever thought.
Way better. I generally, like, the moment we crossed 100 backers, I was just like, what in the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Where are we? What is this madness?
I was expecting 40 basically.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, 1,000 backers, and sure, I'll read all of Curse Scroll into an audiobook somehow. we make that happen. Maybe as a final thing, where can people find more of our stuff if they like what we do and maybe want to seek out more stuff?
That's a great point. Well, for me, you can find me on Drive-Thru RPG. Just search Taylor, Celia Wright. I'll be there. And Lauren, where can they find you?
You can find me on itch.io and on Amazon Kindle under the name Laurin David Vegan. All my Soulblight stuff is on there. I just released Swords and Sorcery, also thanks to this guy right here, editing it and putting on the layout. I'm putting out an update to it very soon. There were some bug fixes in there, but I'm putting in. It's a free adventure collection, 7 adventures, more stuff to be found.
Yeah. And the adventures are really good, by the way. They're all free. That's amazing. We can't beat that price.
Yeah. Actually, and also, one last question I do have for you, Taylor. What is going to happen after Crawling Deep? What is the next project on the horizon?
Well, I think I actually have a plan about this. So the last 30 days have filled me with a nervous energy that I have no way to spend. So other than writing. So what I have been working on is a Delta Green hack for Shadowdark. It's called Delta Dark. And the core concept is that you are like spies. It's spy fiction, but also like Cthulhu horror fiction. I think it's really cool. It's coming along really well. I think I'm gonna send if I get it done before the end of the Kickstarter, I'm just gonna send it to everybody for free and be like, here, yeah. I made this with all the nervous energy you gave me. Thank you.
I am also working on it.
That's right. Yes.
I've already ideas.
Yeah. Lauren, what are you working on right now?
Right now I am working on the next big Soulblight product after finishing the first cycle, which is a Neolithic Bronze Age setting for Soulblight, for Shadowdark RPG. But the next one is Soulblight Hamartia, which is a hex crawl that takes place in a penal colony in a Reconquista Spain-inspired region. Was a lot of fun to work on that. It's almost done, actually. I've started working on it this month, and it's almost done, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's an insane pace. What is it, like 30,000 words or something?
It's 35,000 words right at this moment.
Ooh-wee. prolific writer here, folks.
The devil works hard, but I work harder. And oh my god, it's 10 p.m. No, yeah, it is 10 p.m.
It is
on my end.
It is 10 p.m., 5 p.m. for me. So we'll wrap it up here. But thanks everybody for coming to the stream to see us yab on. Laurin, thank you for coming to do this. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Hopefully we can do this again sometime with other things we do work on. We'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully next time with web connection on my end.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't think this is the last time we'll do one of these. Okay, folks. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you later.
Thank you, everybody. Be seeing ya.
Bye.
Bye.